welcome back to our second episode in this series of habits that outlast January. All right, we'll begin on a very strong note talking about mastery and the role of patience in mastery. We're simply saying that you need to be patient in your journey to becoming a master of whatever you want to do. All right, before we go into the other concepts about goals and, all of those big terms, and how to build routines and all of that, I would like to point out something in the book of James chapter 4. In verse 13, the writer, Apostle James, says something. He says, you who come to say to someone and then says, let's go into a city, let's go into this place and buy and sell, make profit, build houses, buy lands, do all of this. He says, do you not recognize that your life is as a vapor that appears but for a moment and vanishes away? So in that, he is saying that your life is not in your hands. You are not as so much in control as you think, or as we often think, So when the year starts out like this, we have very grandiose plans, things that we want to achieve. But James, or the Bible, tells us that ultimately, you achieving your goals, achieving your dreams, your ambitions, whatever you've set out for 2026, is not in your hands. Because in verse 15 of that same chapter, it says, instead, you should say, if the Lord wills, I will do such and such. So it is by divine providence and by the will of God that we are able to achieve the things we want to achieve. So I want you to bear that in mind, that this is the main, objective of the whole series, to point you to the fact that beyond your planning, beyond your strategizing, beyond, all the things you've written down, your SWOT analysis and all of that, beyond all of that, if the Lord wills, is only if the Lord wills that you are able to do what you do. So you have to always bear that in mind, that you are not the one in control of things. Ultimately, God is the one in control of things. In a way, you control the things you plan and strategize and all of that. God ultimately controls your life and your ability to do those things. All right. So, in the grand scheme of things, we're not in charge. All right. So, and this is one thing I want us to bear in mind. And going forward, I want to start off talking about goals. So many times we focus on goals, trying to achieve goals. You want to be the fastest runner. You want to pray like Elijah. You want to, be like some model or some powerful person you look up to. And then we fixate our mind on those things that we miss the point. All right. So the actual thing to focus on usually shouldn't be on goals. It should be on the things that you do daily that leads to those goals. Take, for example, you want to be a neater person. You want to be more organized. You want to be more arranged. I said this year, I will be a more organized, arranged person. And then that's what you say. So that statement in itself does not make you a more organized person. In fact, it's vague because it doesn't make you organized. So instead of trying to focus on, I want to be a neater person this year, I would rather you focus on saying things like, if I get up from my bed, I will make my bed immediately I get up. And that's an action point. So immediately I get up from my bed, I'll make my bed. Immediately I finish eating, I'll wash off the dishes. Immediately I stand up from the couch, I will arrange the remote, the pillows and all of that before I go into my room. So by the time I do this today, tomorrow, and the next, by the time I make my bed in the morning before leaving, when I get back, my room is arranged, my bed is arranged, I am becoming neater. If I take off a dirty cloth, I put it in a laundry basket or somewhere where it will be washed. By simply taking those steps, I am achieving my goals without necessarily being so obsessed about the goal. Another case study, you want to be prayerful, you want to Read your Bible more this year. I want to read my Bible more in 2026. Good, fine, beautiful. So, but saying that is vague, because that in itself does not prompt you to read your Bible. You may just immediately, by the rush of emotions, open your Bible and read for the first day, and by the next day, you slip back into your other habits. You have other excuses. So how about you say, every time I wake up, before I eat, before food gets into my mouth, I must read at least one chapter of the Bible. So you have an action that and maybe for you, you must eat before you leave your house. So it becomes something you have to do. So you say, I must read at least one chapter before I eat, or before I get into the shower, or before something you must definitely do in the morning. You can say, I must read a chapter before I do this. Or you can say, okay, when I finish making my bed, I'll keep my Bible on my pillow. Before I sleep, I must read at least one verse, just one verse, not even a chapter, just one verse before I sleep. I must read at least one verse. There must be one verse of the Bible on my mind as I sleep. Think about doing that over time. Say you do it for a whole week. You are achieving your goal of being somebody who takes the Bible more seriously, or reading your Bible more, than focusing on, okay, this week I read 10 chapters on Monday and I read nothing on Tuesday, Wednesday through Saturday or Sunday. That doesn't make you someone who reads your Bible more. Okay, so focusing on the goals doesn't get you to the goals. It's actually counterintuitive. So when I focus on the things, just daily activities, the things I do that achieves those goals, I indirectly achieve those goals. So sometimes writing out goals and all of those things are good, but they can also become limiting, because the human mind wants to focus on those things and leave the things, that the action plans, the doing, and focus on, the goals, strategizing, taking notes, doing all those things are not the action. All right. So we will talk about other aspects of this, and I hope you learned something. So let me know what you learned, and I will see you again.